Hi, I'm Jennifer Janish, owner of Adored Salon and Adored Signature Hand-Tied Hair Extensions. I'm obsessed with curly hair. I cut it, style it, and extend it, and this podcast is all about my curly girl obsessions that stretch far beyond just curly hair.
Hey guys, it's me, Jennifer, from the Curly Girls Obsessions, coming to you today with business talk. This is Jennifer, the CEO, behind the scenes, doing all the things that matter to create all the little empires that I've built. Adored Salon, Adored Signature Hand-Tied Hair, and we cannot forget Jennifer behind the chair and Jennifer the educator. So let's talk about the lie that everybody's been sold, because it grates on my nerves so much when I post about something that I'm doing and someone says, "Oh, are you going to turn this into an evergreen course and make passive income?" Wah, 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 wah. You've totally been sold a lie if you actually believe that that is a reality. Take an evergreen system and turn it into passive income. Now, let's discuss this. So if you think that creating one system, putting it into a series of courses that's recorded, is just going to magically make you income behind the scenes without you doing any of the work while you're sipping a margarita on the beach, putting your toes in the sand, absolutely not. You may as well just dig a hole and put your head in that fucking sand, because it's absolutely a lie to believe that passive income means no work. I am here to shoot it to you straight, to explain to you why it's totally not true. So this year, I became so heavily educated. If we look back at last year, I was the educator. I took my team and we went to 8 different locations throughout the U.S. educating on the curl tour. And that's a whole nother story within itself. You might sit back and think like, oh, it looked so fun. It looked so this and so easy because we made everything look pretty. But it's like, I could probably write a book about last year's curl tour and it would become a bestseller because of all the shit that went down just to make each time look fun, look pretty, right? I'm not telling you that it wasn't great, because it was great. But did the shit hit the fan a few times? It 100% did. And I learned a lot from being the educator, so much so that this year I threw myself into being the student, on building the systems, on creating the awareness. How was I going to do this properly so that I didn't have some of the same roadblocks that I had in 2024 while selling my education and touring the US? I took the bull by the horns, and I'm sure you guys have heard me on here talk about a company called Boss Babe. If you are an entrepreneur of any type, this company is for you. I'm telling you, even if you work in corporate America and you are building systems for growth, this company is for you. If you are an online influencer, this company is 100% for you, because that's really and truly who they speak to. That's their number one main client. But enough about me selling you on Boss Babe. Let me tell you about the courses that I took with them this year. So it's called Freedom Fast Track. That's about building your funnel, honing in on your messaging. Let me back that up. Last year, starting in September, just as the curl tour was starting to wind down, I think we had 3 or 2 more classes to go, I started with a coach. Her name was Jody Brown. And we started honing in on the messaging because I started realizing last year that selling your education was not as easy as it looked, right? The years of all of a sudden hairstylists selling out courses of other hairstylists, just watching them to hone in on their craft, that was dwindling down, right? Like, and the curl tour is me, the hairstylist, going around and teaching other hairstylists all about curly hair extensions. So I really need to hone in on this messaging if I want to carry this forward for the years coming and to grow the brand, Adored Signature Hand-Tied Hair Extensions, Jennifer Behind the Chair, Adored Salon, like all the things. The whole thing is like the biggest bubble that feeds into the same tube, right? Okay, so I start with Jody Brown, and then all the while I've always been involved with Boss Babe. I've been a member of their society for a really long time, and on their posts I'm always commenting to get their PDF downloads that bring in information about how to drive traffic, how to do all the things that we're doing on social media behind the scenes that maybe you as the viewer have no idea of what is going on, but you see the things, right? So enter into April. I start the course called Freedom Fast Track. And you guys know Curls by Chloe. She is one of the team members here at the salon with me. She works behind the chair. She helps with the emails that go out for the salon and the extension line. Her and I took this side by side. She also has her own little online thing that she does. So I'm like, this is great. We could do this together. We could be each other's best cheerleader, best partner, all the while learning the same information together. We're each going to feed it into our personal stuff. We're going to feed it into the salon. We're going to feed it into the extension line, the education. And it's just going to be a win-win. We can brainstorm together, all the things. So we start down the journey, and it was an 8-week course. Every week we had videos to watch with homework, and then we would meet on a weekly Zoom with the creator, Natalie Ellis, and we'd go through Q&A, examples, all the things. And it was like stuffing 10 months of college into 8 weeks. This course, for anybody who's in marketing, hello, hands down, unbelievable, right? It stretched my brain like nothing else to create our email funnel. What's an email funnel? If you've ever signed up for something and then you've gotten like a drip of emails throughout time, that's an email funnel. And I'm not talking about like their weekly emails. I'm going to give you my example. So on any post on social media, be it Jennifer Johnson Janish or Adored Signature Hand-Tied Hair, you comment the word numbers under one of the posts, it's going to send you to the DMs. It'll comment and say, awesome, check your DMs. You go to your DMs. Hi, I'm so happy you're here. Do you want to download the link? And it says, click the link, click the link. Then it'll say, before I send you the link, please submit your email. I save all the best information for my email list. You enter in your email. Great. Now it says, click this link. Here's the link. You click the link. It takes you to the landing page, which resides in our MailChimp account. It gives you a quick synopsis of what the numbers free guide is. And it's the numbers behind it. It's called the blueprint to the numbers behind hair extensions, I believe. Can't say it off the top of my head. We've changed the title so many times. And so then once you do that, once you submit your name and your email after you read like the quick summary and this cute little picture on the side, then it drops you into the email list for Adored Signature Hand-Tied Hair Extensions. From there, it automatically sends you an email to your inbox, and it says download the free guide now, and then it's me telling you a quick story, right? After that email, in 24-hour increments, you're dropped, I think it's like 9 different emails with information regarding to the curl tour. It talks about how I am, I can relate with you because I'm the hairstylist behind the chair, what I've gone through, why I started doing extensions in the first place, like all the things. As you're listening to this, hopefully you just didn't press swipe and move on. Hopefully you're intrigued, right? Because this is the part of passive income that nobody talks about. This is the part that is just, you're like, oh, great. I created a series and I'm going to sell it to everybody. How are you going to do that, right? You've got to have all these steps in order. And it is like a shock to the system because everything that I just described to you takes a lot of time. Just creating that PDF guide, I probably spent 9 hours going through the math of everything that's in there, just an insight in this PDF guide because it's pretty freaking amazing. It talks about how do you want to run your business as a hairstylist? Do you want to be the hairstylist that's like doing 100 haircuts a day? Or do you want to be, so it uses pennies and quarters as the analogy. I'm not going to do it justice, right? But like, do you want to be the 100 penny hairstylist, 100 haircuts a day? Or do you want to be the 4 quarters hairstylist that does 4 clients and the 100 pennies and the 4 quarters still gets to the same dollar amount? It's just that 100 pennies is a lot heavier and a lot more work to carry around versus the 4 quarters. Get my gist, right? Like, that's how they are. So the PDF guide goes on to describe like, how many clients do you need? How many days of work do you need to work? How many hours a day do you need to work to get to the ultimate, right? The dollar amount that you want. And it's so interesting to me because this was the information that I always wanted when I started doing hair extensions. How many clients do I need? How much time do I need to work? Like, there again, like being sold the dream of hair extensions, like as easy, big, quick money, right, is almost the same analogy to passive income. It still takes work. Like, you could have all the tools in the toolbox. You could have all the knowledge there, but it takes work to implement it. It's not just that you went to the hair extension class and said, whoop, set it and forget it. Now I'm just going to make all this money. Nope. You got to market yourself and you got to do the work on the back end. Same is true for this passive income, right? So I explained to you Freedom Fast Track and the funnel, how to create the funnel. Then we get to the end of the class, and I think at week 6, we submitted our funnels, right? And I was a lot farther ahead than a lot of people because I had been doing all of this work now with the website and with the coach and honing in on my messaging. I don't know what it would have been like had I not been through all of that, because I really would have probably been like, But I had a lot of stuff in order. I will say that because I did have a lot of stuff in order, it gave me a sense of confidence about being really good and being like set, right? Almost like the passive income myth. And so I submitted it. It took literally probably an hour and a half by the time I went through their whole like documentation questionnaire to submit all the stuff that I had and to actually get it in order to submit it to. Everything had to be on Google Drive so that they were able to read it. And then when I got the feedback was a 20-minute video with like a 15-page Google Drive on all the stuff that I should edit to make it even better. And I've gotten through some of that. And again, this is going back to the passive income. Passive income does not mean set it and forget it. Whether it's a course, membership, or even investments, there is always work involved. You always have to build the offer, create the funnel, drive the traffic, test, tweak, and optimize. And even after all of that, you're still updating the content, mastering customer support, and keeping things fresh. This whole funnel will mean nothing once 2026 hits. Actually, it kind of will mean nothing after my next in-person class, because the entire thing is geared to help fill the class in September. But with that being said, when it comes to 2026, I will be armed and ready because I will have the knowledge from this. Now, let's also talk about the other classes that I took from them this year. I took Influencer School. Oh my gosh, so interesting, so amazing. If you're thinking about becoming any type of an influencer, I would 100% recommend this class. I took Traffic Accelerator. Again, understanding how to drive traffic to your offers, be it organic, paid, all the things. Like, there's so much information that needs to be had to create this passive income myth or just how to run these businesses, right? And then the other thing that I took with these classes was, oh my gosh, I'm totally drawing a blank. You know this about me. There was the Freedom Fast Track, Influencer School, Traffic Accelerator. Oh, Freedom High. That was just last week. So you're like, freedom, 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 right? That's the message, is that she's teaching you the systems to build upon in order to create, yes, this passive income myth. What was Freedom High? Freedom High was awesome. It talked about how, as the CEO of your company or the founder, you need to create systems and processes to create the growth, right? Because again, like I just said, like, it's always ever changing. You need to be doing the things. And the ultimate end to that was her selling what she has just created called the Freedom Engine. What's awesome about this is that you have her like in your back pocket. It's an AI tool that has all of her information downloaded into it. And I know some of you are petrified of AI. I'm telling you, AI could be your best friend. This thing, this Freedom Engine, helps me do so many things. Like, talk about a task manager, task organizer, and tasks like taken off of my table. It helps me write emails. It helped me write my landing pages for all of these offers that I have. It helped me with the funnel. It helped me when I'm creating the courses in the site that I use, which is called Kajabi. There's so many aspects of Kajabi that once you get in there, you're shocked, right? You're like, oh my God, now what? Now what? Now what? All these things. And I just would go back to this Freedom Engine and I'd be like, okay, can you write me a 500 character description for this offer that is about X, Y, and Z, and state it in this mood as you're speaking to so-and-so. And in 5 seconds, it shoots it out, right? So when you're a busy person like me, I just told you, I run the hair salon, the extension line, the education, Jennifer behind the chair, and I'm the tech person for a lot of all of this stuff. And it doesn't just come naturally. Even if I was half my age, a lot of this stuff would not just come naturally, because you need to learn the system in which it's in, right? Going back to that passive doesn't sound so damn passive anymore, right? Even if it's your investments, you have to constantly monitor your money. There is no such thing as passive income. And so then Now that brings us to how I said, writing the sales pages for these offers. So in order to not sound redundant, you have to have like multiple entry points to this funnel, right? Because at the end of the day, the way you're selling this down sell, right? Or upsell, whatever you want to call it, is you got to get these people in there. So I had to rack my brain. What is it that I do that would be of use to other hairstylists wanting to become extension artists or other extension artists wanting to level up their career? And you could probably think of a million things when I just asked that question, but try and pull them out of the brain of the person who does all these things just naturally. It's super hard because you're like, I don't even know what they'd be interested in. And I don't even know if it's because pulling it out of my brain is hard or if it's just the fact of like, you just get this mind blank because you're sitting there staring at the computer and you're wondering, what next? What next, right? So what I found was that if I could sit down with a piece of paper and I could break it out like you would do in school, like the bubbles of an outline. And typically it's styling curly hair extensions that's really challenging for people, that would make them want to be a part of the curl tour, right? Styling it on the front end. A lot of people don't really realize that there's so many components to curly hair extensions that are polar opposites from straight, and just matching the textures and why. So the things that I pulled out was styling the curly hair extensions, 15 transformative PDFs from start to finish with the client's natural hair color, all the way down to the way I place the extensions, what colors I use, the lowlights, all the things. And then the numbers guide, styling regular curly hair without hair extensions. Like, all these things are super valuable to the person who has no idea, right? And also kind of a draw into this funnel. So then we move on to the courses, right? So with all of this knowledge, still focusing in on the 3-day in-person class, I'm like, damn, I have totally figured this out. Now that I've created the pre-training for the in-person class, which is like 4 modules, I've created the curly styling hair extension styling offer. I created the natural curly hair styling offer. I created the PDFs offer. Now I need to shift gears and put the curl tour online and create the online experience, right? Okay, so what does that look like? I think that it's going to take me 40 hours of work to get this into a working format to be able to sell. Wrong. It took me a good probably 120 hours, if not more, because of the nuances of everything that I was experiencing within the Kajabi itself. Like I said before, one thing would lead to another. I'd have to educate myself further on how I was creating this system. So, that's been such a mouthful of everything. And if I've intrigued you with the Curl Tour Online, the next podcast is going to be about the Curl Tour Online and all that has gone into it and what that looks like for hairstylists wanting to turn hair extension specialist or a hair extension artist wanting to become a specialist with the niche of curly hair, right? So all of these things together, everything that I have discussed, is the goal isn't passive income, it's leveraged income. It's not about building systems that multiply your efforts so you're trading time for money, but you're also not chasing the fantasy of zero effort. I'm totally getting choked up. As you can tell, I'm kind of reading my notes because I've had a lot of good little nuggets to spout out on this. And I said that before, like, you need to know that everything that you're going to do requires effort, right? We said passive income is a myth, especially when you're trying to build a system, especially when you want that system to be fucking amazing. It has to be updated continually. You have to educate yourself on how you're going to do it. There is so much that goes into it. There is so much knowledge in this head of mine right now. Some days I feel like it could explode, and some days I'm like, can Jennifer just go back to cutting curly hair behind the chair? Not to diminish it, but to say that that's when, like, I didn't really have to push my brain to the limits that it's been pushed to over the past like 8 months. Holy shit, what am I talking about? The last year and a half, right? So I could cut curly hair in my sleep, and that is sometimes what I think about would be the dream, right? Just go back to that person. But the truth is, we all know it. I would get bored. I would need to do something else because I thrive on learning and I love this stuff. So I'm going to wrap it up there. I said my piece about passive income being a complete myth and my beliefs on it, no matter what aspect of your life it's in. There is nothing really that you could set it and forget about it except for the timer on your coffee pot the night before. Because that will work, right? That you have a system in place and that will work. It will turn on in the morning if your power doesn't go out at night and shut everything down. But when it comes to everything else in life, you've totally got to do the work in order to get it done. One foot in front of the other. It takes sustainable work. And it's worth doing because it is insanely fulfilling if you're like me. It's about creating a different sense of freedom, not just in your bank account, but for your life, right? You have to go through the work to get educated, to gain the skills in order to become that person who understands the work involved in the stuff that you want to do. And that's the real goal, isn't it? Drop a comment below. Tell me your thoughts. If you do not already subscribe or follow, please do that because I will be dropping these nuggets of business information throughout. You know me. I like to talk about it all, not just curly hair, but business, growth, personal, all the things that come along. Family too. So I hope this helped you. I'm also going to drop the link below for the numbers guide, and you could tell me what you think about that too. So see you next time.